Hello and welcome to another attempt at Cardboard Chat on this August 2nd. I am Peter Vaughan. I am with Cardboard Alchemy, and we are talking about games. We're talking about what games you're going to play this weekend. Of course, if you're at Gen Con, you're probably not watching this just yet because you're enjoying all the games, all of the games. But if you're like me and you're not at Gen Con and you want to talk about games, that is what we're here for. Cardboard Alchemy makes games like Flamecraft, which, by the way, is at Gen Con, and Andromeda's Edge, which is not yet out but is coming any day now, and Critter Kitchen, which is also in the works. We've also made the game Mission Catastrophe. And we're talking about anything. We're talking about design and development, production, and whatnot. And we have new audio. Thank you, Gib and Tessie, for confirming that it works. You know, I don't have time necessarily to troubleshoot every audio issue, but I have now found at least one of the problems in a very bad microphone. And so I am back. We're going to talk about whatever games you want to talk about. I see that Mark is in the audience, and I want to shout out to Mark right now, who, speaking of games and playing games, Mark has played 500 games of Dwellings of Eldervale. Now, I don't know if anyone out there has played 500 times of something. I have not. I think, Mark, that is an amazing, amazing achievement. I think it's really cool that you've documented all those plays, that you've had a really fun time with that game. I made that game. I made that game with Luke Glory as an idea. I've told this story before. We were driving back from a convention, and I told Luke my idea to have this game of all these elemental forces, and I just basically wanted Lord of the Rings. I wanted Gandalf versus a Balrog, and at the time I didn't know if it was going to be a real game yet, and I didn't know that we were going to make it. I didn't know we were going to spend 7 years on it, and I certainly didn't ever think that someone was going to love it that much, and it is an honor. It is an honor to make a game that is appreciated, that has that kind of an interest level. I mean, it's appreciated by a lot of people, but you have taken it to another level. Now, that's just thank you again to hear that. I worked on Dwellings of Eldervale for a long time, and have been messing around recently with Luke with expansion ideas, and it has rekindled my love of that game. I mean, it's always been there, but boy, I'd say I love that game. I'm excited for Mark. I'm excited for you to see Andromeda's Edge and find out if you like that game as much. Meanwhile, Gibbon Tessie has said probably played Can't Stop over 500 times. Now, Can't Stop is an amazing game. I love that game. That's a Sid Saxon classic. So, but again, 500 times is amazing. I think it's maybe easier to hit high numbers with the help of an app. I don't know if you've played Can't Stop digitally or not. I have gotten some hundreds of plays maybe on a game in an app, but to do it on a tabletop, if either of you should just take a bow for that. That is a fun game for sure. So anyway, we're talking about games. We're talking about conventions. This is the weekend of Gen Con, where there is tons of gaming going on. In fact, Dwellings of Eldervale, I believe, is there in some form. I think Breaking Games is at Gen Con with the booth. In fact, I have seen video from Sherry Spiro, the head of Ad Magic and Breaking Games. She showed me video of the event hall where they're demoing We're Doomed and Letter Tycoon, which is a game by my co-founder at Cardboard Alchemy, Brad Brooks. And I also saw that they had games of Dwellings on the table. So I'm sure that Dwellings is getting some action at Gen Con, as well as I've talked to Lucky Duck Games, and they have Flamecraft on the floor. In fact, I was going to show you, I just asked Lucky Duck for some pictures. So this is the Lucky Duck Games booth. You can see they've got their giant duck sign, and they've got this fun shelving, and there's another picture here of the action right before the action. So they've got these little display tables now where they have people come up and get sort of a brief idea of the game, because a lot of people know their games. Chronicle of Crimes and Flamecraft are well known, so basically they're just doing brief pitches of the games. Um, and then let's see, Devin sent me some pictures of how busy it is at their booth right now. Um, this is the insanity of Gen Con. It is a very, very active show. I saw a video the other day of people pouring in the halls on Thursday morning. I heard that the crowds were massive, bigger than ever. So gaming is alive and well. In fact, I have some more pictures that I want to share from last weekend when I went to Comic-Con, which admittedly is, I believe, bigger than Gen Con, but not as focused on board games. But I will show you some pictures from Comic-Con as well. The outside of Comic-Con has tons of people entering the hall in lovely downtown San Diego. This is right outside the convention center. People are, of course, decked out in cosplay and full of bags and going into this massive hall. And then I have a picture of the hallway at Comic-Con, or just above some small part of the floor. This is the small press area. So this is actually arguably one of the smaller areas of Comic-Con. But you could just see those people. Now, if you look towards the top of the picture, you can sort of see the middle of Comic-Con and how insane it is in the middle. But I also took some other fun Comic-Con pictures that I want to share. So let's show. This is a funky thing that I saw at Comic-Con, which was they had this. There was a booth there put up by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration to basically get post-it notes from Comic-Con to give to the next launch. Basically, they were taking these post-it notes to the next time that there's a big event, and they must be doing it from multiple places, but you could write anything you want to the people going up in space. So it was. Do I have another picture of that? I don't know if I have a zoomed in one, but people were of course doodling the funniest things. Instructions about how to proceed and what to do if they got to Mars, and just hearts and love and all sorts of goofy things. I thought it was really funny. Another thing that I saw, let's see. This is, of course, how it feels at Gen Con. Just walk around. You're just walking around behind random characters. We got characters all over Comic-Con, like Charizard here, which was a really awesome statue. Here, let's take the backpack off. I saw Wall-E there near the trash, which was amusing. That was funny. Wall-E was doing their job. It was remote control. You had remote control R2-D2s and Wall-E's all over the place. I saw my friend Tate Wu in the board game area. This is what the board game space looked like at Comic-Con. So this is several rooms that are, how to describe this? There's 2 floors of Comic-Con, and they've somehow managed to put a floor in between the 2 floors. This little mezzanine that's in the back has board games in it. And that was really fun to go there and check out. Tate had a bunch of tables and was running Cat Sudoku. I think he has a new campaign for Cat Sudoku releasing in September, going on Kickstarter in September, I believe. And it was fun to join him and see what that's all about. What else do we have? We saw, I mean, there's more cosplay, but I saw 2 amazing Lego figurines. Of course, I had my own fun time there. I was on a panel talking. I did a Shark Tank panel, and with 5 other Shark Tank judges, we listened to about 15 pitches. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Charlie says, I didn't know they do board games at Comic-Con. It is amazing that they do, because they're tucked in the back. You almost would miss it. I saw Brian Hank from Pull the Pen Games there, and Tate, and a bunch of Kickstarters were trying to, get the word out. But I think it's really reduced. There are some booths, like you'll see Skybound has a booth, or you'll see that I think the Upper Deck has a booth. So there's like a couple of board game booths sprinkled in Comic-Con, but there's not very many. So this week, of course, is a lot of board game studios did go to Comic Con and then flew to, like the op games I knew flew then to Gen Con. So it's like a double show for them. Simon is on the floor, right? Okay, so there are some board games there, but in the back there is a board game section. I mean, we've thought about going there with Cardboard Alchemy. It doesn't look like it gets a lot of it doesn't look like it gets a lot of traffic. I hope it grows for sure. Um, but as far as Gen Con goes, we wish everyone there the best. I know that Manny Vega, the designer of Flamecraft, is over there checking it out. Last year I went with Manny. We got an award. We got an award last year. We got 3 awards from the Dice Tower last year. I was reminded of this as Gen Con started, that last year we won Best Small Games Publisher. So that means that last night was Thursday night. That means a new small games board game publisher was crowned. So we officially now, Cardboard Alchemy has to relinquish that to a new winner this year. Or wish them well. Can't wait to find out who got that award this year and who got the best game of the year from the Dice Tower. We'll find out all the Gen Con news as we go. I did hear another bit of Gen Con news, which is that one game I'm looking forward to is Gnome Hollow, sold out in about 3 hours, which is I don't know if that's a record, but that's an amazing thing. There's comments about my shirt. Critter Kitchen shirt. Yes, I do have a Zoo Chef shirt. This is a shirt that we intend to put on a website in case people want to get into the Critter Kitchen mood. I know we're behind on our t-shirt merch, but we do want to put a Flame Craft, a Critter Kitchen, and an Andromeda's Edge shirt up on a site. I know I keep teasing with the shirts. I will say that the reason why we're behind on shirts is because of board game production. If anyone knows, we go behind the scenes and we talk about board game production. I'm not afraid to say that it has been a little bit longer than we thought to make Andromeda's Edge and Critter Kitchen. I mean, they're awesome and they're going to come out amazing, but they do take their time. They do take their toll, I would say. And this it's been a lot of work. We're working on a Critter Kitchen update to give everybody the latest and greatest news. And I do have hopes that we'll get to the t-shirts. We will get to the t-shirts. I'm gonna get to that. It's an honor that people want t-shirts of our stuff. That is super cool. And thanks for the interest. I love this particular design, which Sandara did, is a Zoo Chef and a Zoo Chef and a Zoo Chef. I think it's pretty funny. And so we're actually working on putting it on I want to put it on a chef hat too. That'd be funny. Maybe I'll make if I ever do chef hats, I'll have to give one away. Like we did last week in the stream, we have to pick a winner for was that a random sighting of Kim Joy and decided to buy her book for someone watching the stream. So you never know what's going to happen around here. Zooception is exactly right. That is what we do here sometimes. Well, it looks like I have better audio. I don't know that I have better video though. I notice it's glitching quite a bit, so I'll have to solve all the tech difficulties here. But I appreciate you joining me. Does anyone have any games they want to talk about what you're playing this weekend? Yeah, you might have to make your own shirt. I'm going to work on shirts, though. Don't worry about it. I also have a Dwellings of Eldervale shirt that I'd like to work on. I have a fun thing coming up where we're going to film some video with content creators, and that's why we're working on making a bunch of cool stuff for that film shoot. Want to talk more about that when we're there and filming, but we're going to record a lot of Andromeda's Edge and Critter Kitchen video because one of the reasons people have asked me if we're going to be at Gen Con. One of the reasons why we are not at Gen Con right now is because we're busy getting a bunch of videos made for Andromeda's Edge. And why we're doing that is because when we want it when it comes out and when it is everyone's table, we want an unboxing, we want how to set up, we want how to rebox, we want how to play, we want how to play solo, we want faction overviews, we want what we're going to film, I hope, with content creators is a 2v2 match of Andromeda's Edge and a lot more footage as well. So we are working on all of that. That takes up our time, but I think it's going to be worth it to have those kind of videos out at launch, and so everybody can enjoy the game in its full and get a lot of tips and learn about Andromeda's Edge. Uh, we've got Mark saying playing Oathsworn this weekend. Fresh off your victory of Dwellings of Eldervale, now you're moving on to Oathsworn, and I love it. That's a game that I want to try. And Stephanie says the Rebox videos are so helpful. I hope so. Definitely, Rosie, that was her idea to do a Rebox, especially. I often like have forgotten that myself. I'll film an unboxing thinking, okay, cool. But no, it is really important. And Judy on our team said the same thing, is that she'll have someone write in and say, well, can we go backwards from can we put it all back so we see exactly how it goes? Now, there is going to be a sheet in the box for Andromeda's Edge. I'm not going to spoil where it is yet, but there is a sheet in the box that actually tells you all of this, how to put the game trays back, how to what's in your deluxe edition. That sheet will be helpful whether or not you have the video. But we're going to do a video as well because sometimes it just helps to see contextually where something is, or get a little bit of a tip for storage. There's going to be the way the game trays are designed too is that they're just so. In other words, game trays has even down to the orientation of a piece. Now that can be very subtle, and you might miss that. For example, Noah at Game Trays tends to put these little indications, kind of like if you ever do an IKEA build, and there's one side that just has a small etching or some difference to it, and if you pay attention to that small detail, you'll notice that it is designed that it only fits one way, and that is because it's very well engineered to fit. And if you put it in the other way, you could have the board just slightly a millimeter too high, and then it undoes some of the balance. Those are the kind of small things that, while they can be a little bit maddening if you don't notice those clues, we try and make it so those are obvious and so that it is well put together, so that when it locks in place, it's just really satisfying. We've got Tim in the house. He's making one of our videos for Andromeda's Edge. So saying those videos sounds super cool is agreed upon by us. Thank you, Tim. Tim's working on all sorts of fun stuff for Andromeda's Edge. And Mark says, when I first got Dwellings, I freaked out trying to put it all back. Now, it's funny, Dwellings, just to use Dwellings as an example, Dwellings has an orientation that the player trays are supposed to go. They're supposed to aim the little bump at the top towards the resources. Now, technically speaking, you can put them in the other way, but when you put them in the other way, you notice that the resources are harder to pull out because of the compression of the box. And it's a minor detail, but there is that orientation that matters sometimes in game trays type of things. When they're in there the right way, it's a dream. It's an absolute dream. I have owned many storage systems. There is none better than game trays when it is working, when it is all up to snuff. And I definitely hope that Andromeda's Edge goes down in history as one of the best game tray systems ever designed. I think that Noah put every lesson learned into this box. I think actually Critter Kitchen might be an even harder challenge for Noah, because in Critter Kitchen's case, in Andromeda's case, I said, the box can be as big as it needs to be. Let's make this thing work well. And in Critter Kitchen, I originally said to Noah that he had to design it in a certain amount of vertical height and definitely an X and Y. And I think that was very difficult. I think we did have to push the vertical height a little bit to get Critter Kitchen to work. But he he was a bit constrained by that. At the same time, I think it's come out really well, really intuitive for Critter Kitchen. So we've got Tim and Mark clapping hands in the comments, which is great. I think that what's really funny is the way that I met Tim Chu. And if you haven't seen Tim's work, he makes cinematic videos, cinematic how to play, but also just like love letters to games. And I saw the one that he did for Dwellings of Eldervale, and so did Mark in our comments. And that is one of the things Mark said got him into the game. I love hearing that. Definitely that is true for me as well. I mean, I made Dwelling, so I was already into the game. But when I saw Tim's video, it convinced me that we had to partner with Tim on our videos, because it's work of art. It's those are the best board game videos on the internet right now. There's no one doing a more impressive job at displaying a game in really interesting cinematic ways. Also, I really like what Tim's doing, breaking up the traditional how to plays, doing some innovative new things. I saw one video that he was making about Critter Kitchen. I think it was during the campaign with Bonds, where it was not just a how to play from start to end, but instead an in progress. Like the game is already going and explaining a turn, but talking to the audience and then playing something out. There's a lot of smack talk between uh, Tim and Bonds in that video, and it was really fun. It was like energetic vibe, and it could be very hard to make a how to play video that isn't a snooze fest. And I know what I'm talking about because I've made how to play videos that are a snooze fest because I care about the game, but it is very hard to keep that passion going. Also, it is very hard to explain the game and not get if anyone's ever seen like another really great person who does videos is Rodney Smith, because Rodney will say a rule like, oh, there's this exception, but we don't need to worry about that right now because it's very easy to go in the weeds on how to play video. So there's an art form to getting everybody interested, getting the right amount of information in skipping to parts to say like, hey, I need this information right now. I'm trying to play right now with my friends. I think just like a rule book in a game, how to play video has a very tough challenge in that you are trying to not only appeal to the person who has never played and needs to know from the beginning, and also the person who might be going, I played and I'm lost, or I'm in the middle of playing and I'm lost. I mean, heaven forbid if you're in that mode, because you're frantically checking for EGG or trying to watch a video or Google an answer. So I don't think how to plays have to answer that person, but I do think that there's some people who want to look up after they've played and maybe got their butt kicked. They sometimes people want to watch a video and say like, how do I do better? And I don't know that how to plays are always. It's hard to serve everybody, but I really admire when videos do a really good job of at least keeping a captivating, entertaining watch. Uh, so that is it's a definite skill. I am, of course, going to try and improve our skills in Cardboard Alchemy in this way because I think the best video that I ever made was I did a solo play for Flamecraft, and I hear a lot of people got something out of that, which is great. I tried to do the how to play solo, how it was different in a very fast amount of time, and then actually played through turns. That one's not bad. I think that it doesn't answer specifics like, hey, you didn't do this on your turn, or can this rule happen? But it was, I think, pretty effective. I'd love to do more of that. Particularly, Andromeda's Edge presents such a challenge because Andromeda's Edge is, God, it's 18 factions, and there's 9 solo opponents of 3 different difficulty levels, and there's modules upon modules upon modules. And I hope we could do that game some justice in terms of having enough content that you can look up what you want to look up about it. If you're first time getting into Andromeda's Edge, if you're playing Andromeda's Edge for an umpteenth time and you want to find out, if you want to see some fun video. I'm also hoping we could do something with Luke and Maximus because it's fun to see the designers. I don't know if everyone remembers, we did a really fun video with shot by Unfiltered Gamer where Luke and Maximus played against each other in a 1v1. It's pretty fun to watch that. So I'd love to do more stuff. If anybody has, we've posted this also on the Andromeda's Edge Game Found page, but if you have specific videos you want me to look into, you want us to shoot, by all means tell us what you are looking for, because we here at Cardboard Alchemy are here to we're here to play the games. We're here to share the games in every way possible. We are here to support the games that we make throughout their lifetime. I will happily talk to anyone about playing Mission Catastrophe, Flamecraft, Andromeda's Edge, or Critter Kitchen. I will happily shoot whatever video is needed to teach these games and to share these games. I personally can't wait for this 2v2 we're cooking up because I constantly talk to people who have played Dwellings but have not played 2v2 yet, or did not realize Andromeda is going to come with a 2v2. It's a great version of that game. It's going to be a really awesome version of Andromeda's Edge, a 2v2 where someone at the table is not trying to kill you. They're actually sharing resources. They're buying track position for you. They're getting into combats ahead of you, protecting your ships and preserving the planets you want to land on. I mean, there's so much collaboration possible in Andromeda's Edge when you've got someone on your side. Mark is talking about that 1v1. There was commentary. We actually did an interesting experiment with that one. I'm always trying to innovate and try something new. So with that particular one, what we did is we filmed the Luke and Maximus 1v1, and then I completely turned that video over to Not Board Gaming, Mark Dainty, and also Hungry Gamers, Will Brown. And I had them do commentary on that video. You can actually watch it on our channel either with or without that commentary. Now, a lot of people prefer to get Luke and Maximus without that extra chatter. I happen to love Mark and Will talking and ranting and going on and making fun of Luke or making fun of a play. I thought that was a really fun idea. I was trying to get another way of a video being entertaining. What we found out was a lot of people hated it. Mark and Will probably they just remember everyone saying like, "Turn these guys off. I'd rather watch it without them." I think they did a great job. I think that was a fun one to do. I actually think that would be fun to do in a tournament setting. Um, a little play-by-play of a game. I actually ran something at an Origins one time. A lot of people still come up to me and talk about this, saying this was a defining game convention event for them. Because what I had is I had a Dwellings of Eldervale table, and I had hired an announcer. She's actually a woman that runs tons of commercials, and she's on the QVC. As a friend of mine, and she was doing this play-by-play of the action. Telling everyone like, "Oh, they just got their dragon out. It's game over for Team Ogre." And she was doing this great job at like kind of talking it through for the audience because we only had one table of dwelling, so we could only let four people sit down at a time. And I really didn't want people who were walking by to miss out on dwellings. I wanted them to get a sense of how cool it is to summon your wizard and go into the portal and or go to the dungeon and buy some more cards and like what those cards do and all the flavor that we put in that game. And people still tell me that was a lot of fun. I don't know how the neighbors at Origins liked it. I would have been possibly irritated if it was like Dwellings commentary all the time. But we try new things around here. I thought that was a really fun way to do it. I would love to do that for an Andromeda's Edge event as well. It would be fun because you're constantly looking at ways of sharing games. One of the things, I mean, if everyone remembers the types of shows that have been out there, we had the Will Wheaton tabletop show. Will, I think, did a really amazing job at getting it like exciting with interviews, and they cut to the key parts of the action that were really good. The downside of that was that we didn't get to see a lot of the gameplay, and sometimes if you're a gamer and you want to like see what someone did and understand what they did, it doesn't necessarily help you learn the game or see the moves. But it was like really good if you already knew the game. If you already knew the game and you were just watching like a really fun event of four people playing, it was great. Will did a great job. I miss tabletop. I do too, actually. I think that show was really fun to watch. I heard some things about how that show went down at the end that was unfortunate. I think they ran into some issues with the rules sometimes being accurate, but I think overall, I think that show was really fun and really entertaining. And I think it did sort of what Celebrity Poker Showdown did for poker, which was have celebs just kind of talk overview about how they were going to smack down a game table or they were going to win or their strategy was going to be really good. I love that show. I also really like the other end of the spectrum, which I think is still on the air, but it's Game Night at BGG. Game Night is it's really four awesome people that put on Game Night, and they play like they have a top-down camera, and they also have a camera of the players. It's like in Damhurst. I don't remember all of the people on the show, but I know some of them have rotated too. But they play the entire game out. Like you see every move, you see all the strategies. The downside with that one is that sometimes it's long and it's maybe it's good background while you can like listen to it while you're doing something. And I think that it just doesn't have that sizzle sometimes of the action. But it is really good. It's like that's the full game, right? I'm getting what I want in that way. So, we're still talking about tabletop. Yeah, it did introduce a lot of games, which I think was its other key thing, and it also had just funny stuff happening. So I would love to see more of that. In fact, one of the things that I really love about we're just talking about Tim's channel. Tim did something about 2 years ago called the Fire and Ice Awards, which were sort of a really fun look at a bunch of content creators' favorite games. I would love to see more board game content. I know that I get a lot of great content from the Dice Tower. I think there's tons of interesting channels out there. I think in general, some are starting to fall into a pattern. We're either covering new releases with no actual meat, or I'm not seeing as many innovative uh, presentations of games. Now, some people are like, "Hey, that's some other channel. I'm not going to do that." I actually have been noticing lately. There's a company called Play the Game. Daniel and Allison Burrell. We partnered with them on Critter Kitchen. They did a video for Critter Kitchen, and I'm really noticing that they're doing some interesting shots and different videos and being really honest about whether or not they're backing something and talking about the pros and cons. And I love seeing their fresh videos. I want to see more. I would love to see more gameplay though. I do want to see and I might have to do it myself on some of our titles because there's sometimes I just want to I want to show a top down and I want to show the move I'm making and why I'm making it. I think it's kind of fun for me personally to see that sometimes. Given Tessie notes that no rules barter midway between fun entertainment and proper gameplay. I agree with that. Actually, it's been something I've been watching a lot of No Rules Barred lately. I was actually Gibbon Tessie and I met at UK Games Expo and I got connected to No Rules Barred and I can't wait to send them Critter Kitchen because I feel like that would be really good for their show. I think that they admitted that they love Flamecraft. Um, and I think Flamecraft is a great game, but I don't know that it fits that show because it doesn't have a lot of there's not a lot talking out what you're doing. There's not a lot of oh my goodness moments, but I think that Critter Kitchen would have those. So I kind of really hope to get a Critter Kitchen to No Rules Barred. I think that would be a perfect game for all of the outthink and what's happening. Oh, you stole my ingredient and curse you and stuff like that. Ooh, Shut Up and Sit Down is mentioned. I think they are they do a fantastic job. I remember watching Shut Up and Sit Down from a ways back, and I love how silly and offbeat and I think they've changed a little bit. I don't know if they've always kept the same exact energy as when they started, but I remember when they started, the type of videos they were making were the best. That's why they got as famous as they did. That's why they have the cred that they do. I love them. I would be honored if they ever took one of our games and covered it. We haven't been that hot. I've never been. The closest I ever came to a Shut Up and Sit Down video was they heard about Expansity, designed by Alex Cutler, and they were interested in Expansity. I don't think it worked out in schedule wise, but we got them one. I think at Gen Con one year, and I was really hoping they would cover that. I don't think they did. But I would love it if someday we got on Shut Up and Sit Down's radar because they're fantastic. I just would love it. Not even if no matter what they said, I would just love it for entertainment value. So we'll see if they're interested in playing a mega game like Andromeda's Edge, or I don't know if they know Flamecraft, but it'd be fun if they eventually covered one of our games. They do have a lot of influence. I noticed that when they did an Arcs video, which is another sci-fi game that just came out from why am I blanking on Leader Games. I heard that Arcs took off because of that video. It was great to see that they loved Arcs. So I'd love to show them Andromeda's Edge and say, here's another. Now, I don't think it's necessarily their style of sci-fi game, but what a game! And I would hope they would try it someday. Howdy, Ellie. It's nice to see you in here. We are now we're doing audio take 2. So I think I've fixed the audio issues, I hope. For now, at least with the headphones. Hey, currently at work, wish you all a nice time. I wish you a nice time when you're out of work, when you get a chance to enjoy time with your family and play games. That is currently why we're making games here, is so that we can give you that stuff to do when you're not otherwise occupied with your day job, with other serious topics. Trying to give you all the fun stuff for your off times. And we're headed into the weekend, so I hope everybody gets a chance to play some games and relax and recharge. If you're like me, I don't know how to do that stuff, so I'll probably be working and working on games for you. So that's all good. Works out for everybody. At least it's about to finally play some board games tonight for the first time in a few weeks. Oh, it's very nice when you get that game night. It's even more appreciated, I think, when you get that rare game night that you've been waiting for. Ooh, the new Rolling Realms that has a Flamecraft promo. I can't wait to find out how that is. I hope you'll tell us in our Discord what happened, and if you get the, I don't know how it works in Rolling Realms, if you get to pick your, I don't know if you get to pick your realm. I don't know how, I actually don't know how it works, and I can't wait to find out myself. So you'll have to tell us how it goes. Ooh, we've got D&D tomorrow. Yay! Finally everyone is together. That's always great in a D&D sense. Like, I think out of all the games you're anticipating, when you have schedules aligned and you know the game you're going to play, even if it's not D&D, I always love when I have a prescribed game night that's like, oh, we're going to play Arc Nova, dinner is set, timing is set, we're going to play Dwellings of Elderman, we're going to play D&D. It is planned, it is organized, so all that stuff. Now, Charlie's asking probably about Rolling Realms and how that came about. We did not do any of the development on that. That was all Stonemaier Games, and Stonemaier came up to us and approached us actually really soon after Flamecraft was funded. Jamie said, I would love to include Flamecraft in a Rolling Realms in the future. I don't need anything from you other than approval. Um, and also there was a very small commission fee, which is very nice of Stonemaier to do that. But they're just out of passion for doing it. It's not based. It's based on the theme and the type of gameplay. I've heard Jamie say that he really does like the notion of how you improve the shops, whether you're enchanting or gathering, whether it's just improving it. So I know that they take that spirit of each game they're putting into Rolling Realms and they try and capture that spirit in a mechanism. So I believe so Ellie's like the realms are randomly dealt. I just think you should make sure Flamecraft gets played. But I think if you're dealt that realm, then you have to I think there's a certain play style. Rolling Realms, I believe, uses a generic form of like resources and goods, and in the case of Flamecraft, it might then look to the way Flamecraft plays and look to the way goods are collected and used and try and like find a mechanism that will like emulate Flamecraft. So I think Jamie does a really good job of caring about other games. Obviously, the Stonemaier vidcasts do. I think Jamie has a really good like favorite mechanism one where he brings out all these mechanisms that he likes in other games. And I happen to admire that one a lot. And so when he chooses a game, it's not only because he feels like people would understand that mechanism and be able to relate to it, but also I think out of appreciation. So we're very honored to have Flamecraft in the Rolling Realms, the new one. I can't wait to hear how that goes. We'll have to, if we ever, speaking of live plays and whatnot. It would be fun to have a show eventually on the Cardboard Alchemy stream where we're playing stuff live. I've been talking to my local game store about possibly doing that. Again, my whole goal is to share games, games that I think are fun, not just the Cardboard Alchemy games, but all games that I think are fun. And if we could do some great top-down shooting and create a video that was fun to watch and follow along with, all to my last earlier points, I don't want to watch something where I can't follow the action, and I wouldn't want to ask anyone to do that either, because I think that it's just watching people play games is not necessarily as fun as sort of like getting a sense of like, oh, okay, I'm taking this move at this moment. I can see the strategy of why I might be taking this turn, but also keep it interesting enough that it's worth watching an entire game, right? So Um, well, I think we've done a successful test here. I'm going to let everybody go to play games now, I believe. But if you're watching this and you didn't get, if you didn't get a question in, feel free to ask anything you'd like. I'm going to do an update for Critic Kitchen. We're going to talk about where that is and all the game trays are in production. We are only about a month, I mean, a month and change away from everybody getting Andromeda's Edge. And I mean, it is coming. We are possibly going to see the first people receiving Andromeda's Edge this month. It depends on how the boats and the speed of which fulfillment goes, but I think it's even a possibility that Andromeda's Edge is going to hit a tabletop in August. And I think everyone is going to see it coming very fast after that. We are at this wonderful moment where a game we've been working on for 3 years, that we've poured a lot of effort into, we know a lot of people are waiting for. Ellie's like, this month? Well, if you live in China, absolutely, I think you're going to get it this month. But if you live in the United States, as many of us watching this do, I think it's going to be closer to September 1st, second week. I think that it is certainly is possible that we'll see a little bit. It just depends, right? If we're all hoping that the containers go fast. I think the containers have already landed in Canada, so there's a chance that Canadian shipping will start any day now. We just have to get things. There's train and there's custom. There's customs and trains and cars and boats and planes, and there's all sorts of parts of this thing. There's also fulfillment timelines. Each fulfillment company has to be free of all their other jobs. So I think it's a race right now between I think Aetherworks in Australia is about to get their copies. I think Pick and Pack in Canada is about to get their copies. VFI has just received their copies in China. I think that there is a chance we're going to see that in August. I think we're going to see possibly some games in August, and then I think in September a bunch of people will start getting their games. Spiral will get the games in the UK, and we're going to see Game On for Andromeda's Edge. So we're at the cusp of one of this is the third game coming from Cardboard Alchemy. This is the biggest game we've ever produced at Cardboard Alchemy. It is a monster of a game, but in a good way. I think that this game is going to last the test of time. Andromeda's Edge has the production value, I believe, to rival some of the best. It has the gameplay from Luke Laurie and Maximus Laurie to be Game of the Year, in my opinion, and it has the art from Sergio Chavez. Personally, I believe he's one of the greatest artists out there in the board game industry, and we're honored to have his art on 18 different factions and 9 different solo commanders and planets galore. He did every planet uniquely, and he did an amazing job at all of the gorgeous art in this game, the raiders and the nebula and the board. Mark says 500 plays of Andromeda's Edge or bust. I can't wait to see what you think of this game. We would, of course, be honored for everyone to try it out to that degree or any degree. And I will be here with you to champion and talk to you about those games. We're going to put out, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to put out tons of content to help you set up, to help you unbox, to help you rebox, to help you learn which faction should be your favorite, the one that you like to play best. Of course, there's 18, so we're going to want to try them all, right? We got to play at least 18 games to find out what each one feels like. I hope everybody loves this game because we've poured everything into this game. So let's see, but we don't have it yet. So of course, enjoy your weekend playing whatever you want until we get Andromeda's Edge in the house. And we'll be back in touch. We'll have Rosie back next week. I would like to talk next week about Flamebound and talk more about we haven't done this in a little while, shown the minis that are in progress, but also talk a little bit more about the gameplay. And we'll have Rosie back in, and we'll talk about how she did in Magic the Gathering. And we'll talk about more about the videos we're going to make. We'll have Critter Kitchen to talk about and how I'll have an update out, so you'll be able to talk about the game trays. We'll show pictures of those and whatever you want to chat about on this board game stream. Until next time, everybody, game on.